Maggie blinked up at the tall stranger standing in her doorway. His sharp gray eyes locked onto hers, rain dripping from his expensive coat. Pulling onto her threadbare welcome mat, "You gave my son food for free." The words, calm and deliberate, sent a shiver down her spine. There was no accusation in his tone, just something far more unsettling. Certainty. I'm sorry, what?" she stammered, gripping the doorframe. The man studied her for a long moment before sliding an envelope onto her wobbly table. "I don't believe in charity," he said, his voice low, commanding, "but I do believe in paying debts. And whether you realize it or not, I owe you." Maggie stared at the envelope, then back at him. Who was this man? And why did it feel like her life was about to change forever? Rain streaked the grimy windows of Haven Street Diner, a tiny, well-worn place tucked between a pawn shop and a laundromat in downtown Chicago. Inside, the air carried the familiar scent of sizzling bacon and burnt coffee, a comforting hum of chatter filling the space. Maggie Harper wiped her hands on her faded apron, her chestnut hair slipping from its messy bun. At 28, she wore exhaustion like a second skin. The endless grind of waitressing hadn't dimmed the warmth in her hazel eyes. She barely made enough to cover the rent in her cramped apartment, but what little she earned, she often gave away. $1 here for the old man shivering on the corner, a free coffee there for the single mom finishing a late shift. It was just who she was. She had grown up poor, raised by a grandmother who taught her that kindness was the one currency that never ran out. Maggie lived by that motto, even when it meant skipping meals or walking home in the rain, because she had given her last bus fare to someone else. Tonight, the diner was quieter than usual. The clock ticked toward 9 p.m., and only a few stragglers remained. A trucker nursing a beer, a college kid lost in his laptop. Maggie was wiping down the counter when something outside caught her eye. Through the rain-splattered glass, a small figure huddled near the diner's entrance. A boy, no older than 8, sitting in a wheelchair. His thin frame was wrapped in a tattered jacket. Dark hair plastered to his forehead as he stared at the ground, hands fidgeting with a frayed blanket over his legs. Maggie's heart clenched. Without a second thought, she grabbed a clean towel from behind the counter and rushed outside, the cold rain stinging her skin. "Hey, sweetie," she said softly, crouching beside him. "What are you doing out here all alone?" The boy looked up, his wide blue eyes filled with uncertainty. I'm waiting for someone," he mumbled, his voice barely audible over the patter of rain. Maggie frowned, glancing around. The street was empty, no sign of a parent or guardian. "Well, you can't stay out here in this mess. Come inside with me, okay? It's warm, and I've got something special for you." The boy hesitated, then nodded shyly. Maggie wheeled him into the diner, settling him at a booth near the radiator. "I'm Maggie," she said with a grin, draping the towel over his shoulders. "What's your name?" "Tommy," he replied, a small smile tugging at his lips. "Tommy, huh? That's a strong name. Now how about some food? You like grilled cheese?" She didn't wait for an answer, already heading to the kitchen. Minutes later, she returned with a steaming plate, a golden grilled cheese sandwich and a mug of tomato soup, her go-to comfort meal. "This one's on me," she said, tucking a napkin into his lap. "Eat up, kiddo." Tommy's eyes lit up as he took a bite, the cheese stretching in gooey strings. "This is the best thing I've ever had," he said, grinning. Maggie laughed, sitting across from him, chatting about silly things, favorite colors, superheroes, anything to keep that smile on his face. For a moment, the world outside the diner didn't exist. What Maggie didn't know was that someone was watching. Across the street, a sleek black Bentley sat in the shadows, its tinted windows reflecting the neon glow of the diner sign. Inside, Victor Grayson sat in silence, his sharp gray eyes locked on the scene through the rain. At 45, Victor was a titan of industry, CEO of Grayson Technologies, a multi-billion-dollar empire built on cutting-edge software and ruthless ambition. His tailored suit and silver cufflinks marked him as a man who belonged in boardrooms, not in the gritty streets of Chicago. But tonight, he wasn't here for business. He was here for Tommy. Victor had parked a block away, intending to grab his son after a quick call with his overseas investors. Tommy's nurse had quit unexpectedly that morning, leaving Victor scrambling to juggle fatherhood and his empire. He had told Tommy to wait by the diner while he sorted things out. He hadn't expected this. Through the rain, he saw Maggie kneel beside Tommy, saw the way his son's face lit up as she fed him. Victor's chest tightened, a rare flicker of emotion breaking through his steely exterior. He pulled out his phone and dialed his assistant. "Clara, get down to Haven Street Diner now. No suit, no heels, just jeans and a hoodie. I need you here in 20 minutes. Clara, ever efficient, didn't question him. "On my way, sir." Victor leaned back, his mind racing. He'd spent years building walls around his company, his heart, his son. Tommy's condition, a rare neuromuscular disorder, had turned Victor into a man obsessed with control, hiring the best doctors, the best caregivers. But no amount of money could buy the kind of warmth he saw in that diner window. Who was this woman, and why did she care? By morning, Clara delivered a slim folder to his desk. Margaret Harper, 28, lives in a one-bedroom on West Taylor Street. No family, no college degree. Been at Haven Street Diner for 5 years. Barely scraping by. Rent late half the time. That's all I could dig up. Victor flipped through the pages, his jaw tightening. An ordinary life, stretched thin by circumstance, and yet she gave what little she had. He closed the folder and stood. "I'm going to see her." Clara blinked. "Sir, you mean now?" Now. And that's how Maggie's life changed forever.